Hi, this is Ash Ibrahim, your Kinetic consultant from Epic Pros. Gonna talk to you about upgrades, your ERP system, and the first question I would always ask is why you're doing the upgrade. And typical question is the software is out of date, or just to get the software up to date. I have a problem with that statement, and my issue with that statement is the solution need to be upgraded, or is it the software that need to be upgraded? If the solution that need to be upgraded, then that's an implementation. And if you think by doing the upgrade, you're going to get a functionality gain that's going to impact your solution and business, you might as well explore that functionality gain in the existing platform before you consider upgrading to new platform. So make a decision. Is the upgrade related to the software or is it related to the solution? Solution means implementation and consultancy. Upgrade, it's a technical exercise, which I will cover with you today. Now, most clients who I did an upgrade project for, they have not invested in their software for the last 6 to 10 years. So that's most of the upgrade projects comes in between 6 to 10 years of neglect. Usually businesses have a roadmap for their business. They know what they're doing next year, what sales revenue target, product portfolio, customer retention. They have a roadmap for how the business is going to run, and they have goals. And the common suspect that is usually missed out is the ERP software. So what you'll notice that throughout the year, the software will start peeling away from the business process, and it's no longer able to support the user effectively. And on the back of that, the user will start creating their own reporting structure and their own tools to help them bridge the gap where the software has, the solution has disappointed them or let them down or not coped with the business need. So when the customer comes in after 6 years, then they're trying to invest 6 years worth of gap in the upgrade project. So the question I would ask here, why would you not invest the upgrade budget every 2 years and reap the benefit straight away after you do the upgrade? So you do an update to the software and then you invest in that update and then you start using the benefit that you get from that update, instead of not getting any benefit at all for 6 years, but yet still spend the same amount of money on upgrading it. Because when you come to an upgrade after 6 years, you're dealing with such a big upgrade compared to the one that you do if you're sustaining this over shorter period of time, but consistently updating it and so on. Right, before we start, let's first define what is an upgrade. An upgrade is usually referred to when you move from an older version of the software to the new one. So on the outskirts, when you look at that, you think it's a technical exercise, and predominantly should be, where you would convert the database, which is an old version of the software, to the new one. So you're moving from E9 to E10, or you're moving from E10 or E9 to Kinetic. So that conversion of the database usually happens through a tool that Epicor provide for the customer. And once that conversion is run, the tool gives you back the database, and your IT manager, system manager will install it into your system, and you'll have the latest version of the software. Now, that latest version of the software will require you to do a technical exercise against it. And that technical exercise will revolve around customization, development, BPMs, reports, product configurator. And those areas you will have to revisit because you have a new architecture, a new technology, new tools to verify or rewrite some of those components. So that's why I'm saying it will become a technical exercise. Now, the rules of thumb here is that if you are rewriting something or recreating it, you can't guarantee it's going to behave the exact same way with your business process, with your data, and with other customization. So instinctively, as an association task, the moment you do a technical upgrade, which is updating the customization, you have to provide some testing. And that's our topic number 2. So point number 1 is your data. You cannot start an upgrade project without doing a data exercise. 2 types of data exercise need to be done on an upgrade project. One is existing data. So you have to revisit your data, verify what data is missing, not configured, not set up, not used, not accurate, maybe not separated correctly. So that data exercise have to take place. And then the second data exercise is if, as part of the upgrade, you are visiting a new feature, which is almost considered as implementation, or the software have a new configuration that you would like to utilize by during post upgrade. then that will become part of the data exercise that you need to accumulate into your upgrade projects. So data exercise will be part of the project, which is the upgrade, and it will be as well part of the new implementation. So testing will be done on the basis of testing first that the customization that you upgraded works, then testing in line with your scenarios and business processes to see how that works, and then testing your data. They're not the same test, they're different approach, but that's the three areas that you need to cover. Technical, you need to cover functional, and you need to cover the configuration and the data. Now, if you're testing your system, you have to keep in mind that the testing based on scenarios. So when you've done your first implementation, if you're thorough enough through that implementation, and now personally, most of the clients I've been to an implementation have never done the scenario creation or the process design that they needed to at the go live. It's just usually too busy and they get caught out in time, and there's not enough budget to outsource it as well to a consultant to write those scenarios. So in the upgrade, you'll have to have those scenarios ready. So then you let your user test the scenarios. You design the scenarios in a way to validate your customization. So you need understanding of your existing customization, documentation of them, what they're supposed to do, and then the scenario to test those customization. Now, because you're moving to a new platform, there's always going to be either bugs related to the new platform, or you might expose some data issue that the previous platform did not suffer from, but when you move to the new platform, you'll come across them. If you have any data issue, this will be fixed through your maintenance contract with Epicor. So then the task become testing against bugs, testing against data issue, and testing against your own customization and business processes. And then, of course, testing the new customization. Point number 3 is ownership. When you're doing an upgrade from old platform to new one, there's an element of process testing that need to take place, scenario testing. The scenario and the process testing will need to be done by the user, and then that automatically throws at you a challenge of who's responsible for this testing and who's responsible for owning or understanding or signing off that the testing has worked. So the ownership works hand in hand with the data ownership as well as the testing ownership. When a process is owned by a user, they understand the ins and outs of that process, and they understand how a process is supposed to behave. So as part of the complexity of introducing a new customization, because it's a new customization in terms of it's being rewritten with the upgrade. So it's a new customization, new code. You have other customization in the system that as well control your business process. And then you have the testing that's going to take place. Those two exercises together will need an owner. If you happen to have an automation in place, like Service Connect or Codeless or any other automation tool, typically the automation takes ownership of a process, data, transaction, and validation. Like it might be shuttling data between customer relationship management software and Epicor. So the commercial team will be the right owner for that process, but because it's been automated, they never had to own it and they never had to verify it. And the automation tool, the Service Connect or the Codeless, become a black box in terms of what it's doing in the background because the user is shielded from that. The automation tool picks a transaction, it gets triggered, it does a data transformation, it makes decision, it populates information on the other side in the Epicor platform. So that process will need to go back to its element. You need an owner for that process, the automation, and they need to test the technical side of the automation plus the process side. So that's why you need owners for the technical side and owners for the process side. So that was point number 3, ownership. Point number 4, it's related more to your technical work and your customization and development. When you do an upgrade, those are the areas that get impacted and those are the areas that you'll visit. You either do this exercise pre-upgrade or post-upgrade. Pre-upgrade, it will save you money. Post-upgrade, it will be a tied-up exercise. So before you come in to upgrade a database, you'll have a huge list of reports and development and customization. In some circumstance, when you're upgrading, there will be a new feature that introduced that either covers some or all aspect of a customization. So this would have been, could be in a gap on the software functionality, and the user had to customize to gain that functionality, and then the software, the new feature, has introduced it as standard, but it's not quite 100% a replica of what you have. So you need to do some kind of change management where you dismantle customization and move to the standard process. This has become an implementation, and you have to triage that before the upgrade. If you're visiting, dismantling customization, or removing them, merging them, or even upgrading them. So you look at the customization, you think this won't work in the new software, I need to upgrade it. Example of that is the forecast screen in Epicor. So there's a big change between the old one in E10 and E9 and the Kinetic one. When you move from E9 to Kinetic, you'll see it. So then you'll be looking at, do I need to introduce that change or not? And if I do, and if I had a customization before, do I need to introduce that customization to do the replication of what the standard process does or not? So when you're visiting your customization before the upgrade, do the triage process. Do the triage to see, do you still need it? Can you merge it with another dashboard? Is that BPM necessary? Is there a company configuration that being introduced, or a plant configuration being introduced in the upgrade project that could mask or replace this customization? These need to be done by a consultant. They usually have the vision and they understand what has been introduced and what the net change is. It's very costly to just move customization across and then fix them post go live, because you'd have moved apple to apple. Basically all the customization that you don't need would have moved on to the new platform, and then you start a project. I have clients who done both, and it's nature of the time frame and the budget and the urgency and the exercise in hand. I had a customer with about 1,000 customization in total, and to sit there and do the exercise of validating them would have taken 6 months in total with testing them, and we didn't have that privilege, so we migrated, and then they started dismantling or triaging the customization. Okay, that was number 4, is looking at the customization. Are you going to upgrade them? Validate the exercise either before or after. All right, the last point, which is point number 5. Whenever you have an upgrade project, there's an element of configuration and training that is imposed on you. Predominantly, usually, is the technical side, the IT side, system admin, the menu behavior, and so on, and the customization, the BPMs. So there's a retraining that needs to happen to IT. It's not something we can avoid. Usually it comes with an upgrade because there's a new feature. But sometimes there are features that the user used today and they have slightly been modified or changed, or there's a new field that appears. So when you review these functionality and fields and configuration, you have to review them in the expectation that this is the side of the project that is an implementation. It's not just an upgrade. So when you're retraining on something, you're retraining because you're re-implementing. So part of the upgrade, there's an element of implementation. Keep that in mind, and it can go as big as you want, as long as you want in scope, and as short as possible. If you're gonna go to the bare minimum, it's mainly IT training, and then you need some orientation on the behavior system, the look of it, the personalization, then log in, log out. The field might change. They might have rearranged the menus, changed the name of the fields. So that there's a net change of navigation that needs to be done in terms of training. That's the bare minimum. Right, that's pretty much all the 5 points. I'll summarize them for you. So the first one is, if you're doing an upgrade, look out for testing and scenarios. Look out for your data, ownership. Keep in mind the training topics, the net change, and the timing of when you do this. Do you do all this triage before you migrate or after you migrate? I'll leave you with one thought in the end. If you're doing an upgrade project and you had a bad experience originally, or you didn't hit the marker in terms of benefit, or you didn't have a good closure on your original implementation projects. And usually this is the case. Whenever I go on a project, I speak to customer, they didn't have a good outcome of their implementation. It was just an implementation, basic needs that was put in place. Budget, other circumstance, whatever it is, it's just they didn't have a good history in the past in terms of software implementation or upgrade. If you're moving for a project and upgrade for the second time or the first time, factor in that you're going to do an upgrade plus an implementation. I can't see you benefiting massively just from the upgrade, because remember the first thing we mentioned in this video is, are you dealing with an upgrade of software or an upgrade of solution? And majority of the benefit comes in the upgrade of the solution, not the software. So if I have to choose between two, an upgrade a solution or an upgrade a software, I will lean more upgrading the solution than the software. But sometimes that's not possible to do it, and it's costly because you're working with an old technology, and if you're customizing in an old version, you'll have to redo this in the new version. So then you'll be dealing with much higher price for the upgrade. So it's something you have to try, it's something you have to figure out, but the benefit is in the solution, not in upgrading the software. That's the majority of the benefit. It's very rarely I would be able to do something in Epicor 9 that I cannot do in Epicor 10, and vice versa. Majority of the stuff that I cannot do in Epicor 9, in Epicor 10, I can do them somehow through customization. It's not ideal, but the cost of customizing those small features might outweigh the cost of upgrading. So you have to think about it, and you have to triage it, and you have to really verify which area you're trying to tackle. Is it the solution or is the upgrade? Thanks for listening. I'm going to give you the case study on a different video because I don't want to make this video too long. This is Ash Brahim from Epic Pros, your Kinetic consultant.